All right, so I'm recording, and obviously, permission to share this, right? Post onto the video.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so start out. Let's kind of like just like introduce yourself. How long you've been playing? This is your native account, right?
Yeah. So Undershot Dan. It's not a native account to the kingdom I'm in now. So I
Mm.
was in 1910 first, so it was native to 1910,
Right.
and then I migrated to 2369 with a bunch of folks from 1910, and I'd been in a jumper group, so I had a native account there that is now a farm account of mine as well. And yeah, been playing since May of 2020.
Okay. And obviously, you don't have plans to like go anywhere. You seem like a pretty
No,
loyal
no.
guy. You're integrated into the leadership and everything.
Yeah,
Um.
absolutely. Yeah, we've got a really good sort of leadership group, so
Okay.
we
And
get
it
looked up.
and it sounds like your big thing is beyond just the actual stats. You bring a lot of value as far as like, are you doing like king stuff like R4? Like you're doing stats for sure, right? You literally like built out the stat system for your kingdom, but
Yeah,
you're adding a lot of value in that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've got a bunch of really strong R4s. I'm on sort of king rotation, help out with R4s and sort of battle planning, but we've definitely got some better war leads. But my big thing, as you say, is stats, and working with another guy in my kingdom called Reaper, who pulls all of the stats, and then I pull them together and display them on websites, and
Yeah.
pull together the analytics for the kingdom as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And yeah, and I think you already mentioned it. It's so underrated. So I mean, I know you've been following our channel, right? We're moving to a new kingdom, and like building that out. And I'm over the last, I would say, like 6 days, 5 days, like the amount of information I had to learn about the game that I had no idea about, or at least just I had like assumptions or just like general, maybe like a general basic understanding. Like it's like all aspects, like building out shells, territory, like flags, all that stuff. I never did it before. I never had aspirations to do it. But if you want a kingdom to be set up successfully, you have to do at least have an understanding on all of that, and you have to have people do that, right? This game is like beyond just KP. Obviously, there is a component of that, especially to really like win KBK. You need to win in the open field, right? To win open field in your ball, you have to have enough punch so you can clear everyone else. So you need enough activity and all that stuff. Like, of course, but the power of a good R4, someone who is, for lack of a better word, like obsessed with the game, that can like help get the door, that can do like the little things that set it up, like the unsung hero. I think I probably appreciate it now more than ever. So you seem like you're like one of those players, just by a lot of the stuff you sent me that we'll probably end up talking about in the back end. Um,
Yeah. I definitely lose far too many troops just running into a ball while I'm setting up on a marker. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So let's actually just kind of go over your account, just like my thoughts on the account, the commanders, all that stuff,
Mhm.
and then we could probably get into inscriptions, which you mentioned you wanted to go over, and then after that, anything else that we missed, we could kind of like tie it up, right? So if you
Yep,
don't
sounds good.
have, so if you don't have any plans of going anywhere, literally your stats don't matter, right? Because it's how your kingdom values how valuable you are. I will say if you were going to like migrate and they looked at your account age and your stats, there's going to be some kingdoms that you're either going to have to prove, like you're, have someone vouch for you, prove your value, or they're going to just look at the stats and be like, oh no, that's a little bit lower than what we're looking for, right? But it just
Yeah,
is what it is. It doesn't matter if you're happy where you are. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
So you're like off season, and you're from UK.
Yes, yeah, I
Okay.
am. Yeah.
Yeah, so like off season, you're spending like 10 euros a month, and then during KVK like 50, right? So you're buying the pop ups. It sounds like the crystal mine, the pop ups, or not even the pop ups.
Yeah, I think I get what three or four in, or maybe five or six in, but it's
Okay.
definitely not every single one. But I pretty much moved all of my spending into Season of Conquest, so I typically don't spend on the off season now.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like very, very, very low spend. If
Hmm.
you could even call, yeah, it is still very low spend, right? But just a very, very small amount just to get the. Okay. So, uh, I mean, obviously on the screen right here, I would say four of the marches are usable. That fifth one, like if you're fighting like a KVK 5 kingdom, you could probably run it out there, right? But if you're not, that equipment, it's gonna struggle.
Yeah.
Now, at your spend, I think you did a really good job of building out everything. Like you said, like you kind of maximize like with the amount you're spending. Um, the first four inscriptions are like fine to like pretty good, right? Some of the inscriptions are better than others. So in general, I want to say armaments and inscriptions in general have changed a lot, right? I don't know if you saw the latest update that's supposed to come out, I think in 5 days. So
Hmm.
now like you could travel way beyond the 20 times. I think you could travel up to like 120 times a day. I think it's going to cost a ridiculous amount of gems to do that much. But as you're traveling more and more, you're accumulating something called luck now, which will increase your chances of essentially getting a inscribed legendary through traveling, right? Like we'll see how it actually works, how much gems it costs. But where this game is going for armaments, in my opinion, is you're looking for either special inscriptions or like really, really good double inscriptions. Even like rare inscriptions by themselves, like some of them are still pretty good, but like the more chances you have to get inscriptions and what was considered like, for example, a good inscription before, it's just kind of like a placeholder now, right? So like one of my KVK coins early on, maybe like KVK 4 or 5, because we lost, right? So I could either use that one coin to buy a robust or just to not use it at all. And I actually bought a robust and put it on a wedge formation, right? Like it's like nobody should be doing that now, right? But at the time, a robust for a wedge was really, really good. So I think where this game is going is that you're actually looking to get much better inscriptions now and then really go all in. And in the meantime, you kind of have a placeholder there. So like these four, right? Unless you're having like 2 doubles on 2 slots, essentially you have an inscription at least on every slot, right? And that's should be the first milestone you're looking for. Now, when I say an inscription on every slot, they're not all made the same. So for example, one that's actually like kind of bad is Spirited. So Spirited is like, I think when you get above like 70 or 80% in rage, you deal X% more damage. But we discovered that it doesn't actually apply to your active skill, right? So essentially for like a second or two, your white damage is going to go up by whatever the percentage is, right? By a little bit. It's not even like that much. But then the active skill, technically the rage resets to 0, so you don't get the damage increase, right? Another one is like Bluster, which you have like a small percentage chance to resist being silenced, and if you do resist it, then you deal like a small damage factor back. It's just not that good, right? So I mean, I don't know all of them, but I think like Elite, for example, is like a 1% damage increase if I remember correctly. Sentries, I can't remember. I want to say Watchmen was pretty good. I can't remember where they're off the top of my head, but just like at first glance, looking at these, uh, maybe besides Sentries, I think all of them are at least like decent, like regular inscriptions, right?
Yeah,
So
Sentries is on. I was just literally like, I don't know why I've got sentries on there because it's 2% less damage while garrison, but it's on a dual inscription.
okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so basically, right now for you, this is the general armament inscription I would do. I like all of these. If you want to roll to have triple stats on it, like that's fine,
Mhm.
right? But you're not gonna find like another regular inscription that's like a little bit better than, let's just say, War Hunger, which I think is like attack, right? Like you get like 3.5 attack or something. Let's just say you get something that's like robust, you get 3.5 health, and you already have a triple stat on the War Hunger. It's just not worth it to roll the robust to a triple stat, right? Like converting attack, 3.5 attack to health, and then getting a triple stat. Like the amount of transmutation stones, and then God forbid, like transmutation crystals you have to use to make that switch just isn't worth it, because there's enough opportunities now where like at the very minimum you should be shooting for like rare inscriptions because it's fairly easy to get them. It's still, you're still kind of happy when you get them, right? But also like not every rare inscription is good. But if you could get like a rare that's part of a double, or a double where let's just say it's like a robust and a assertive like double, right? Assertive is like 2% more damage on the map, right? I think you're above 50% or something like that, and then like robust is 3.5 health. You get those two combined, it's going to be better than a rare. Not as good as a special. Right? Like no double that's not a special is going to be as good as a special, but it's kind of like the next step down. And because it's still hard enough to get specials right now, right? Like you can actually be willing to go a little bit more all in on those like really good doubles where you're using your transmutation stones to get a triple stat and all that stuff. But ultimately, it just kind of seeing like the landscape changing over the like every 3 or 6 months or so. I think at some point everyone is going to be going for specials, right? When they go all in, kind of like when like the equipments first came out, right? And then essentially there were certain epic pieces that you're just going to keep there, right? Like people were keeping around the gatekeeper shield, the infantry blue shield, for a long time. They were doing the flame treads, like the archer boots, for a long time, right? But once they introduced the iconic crystal, where all of a sudden there's a little bit of a separation, and then like there's a bigger gap, then it forced people to start going a little bit further. I think where this game is going, as far as with the inscriptions, is that people are going to be shooting for special inscriptions and then good doubles. Okay, so the first 4 set, what I'm telling you is it's mostly done because you already have the inscriptions on there, right? Even the sentries is just part of a double. So you could try to roll the triple stats, right? But like, unless you're getting a really good double inscription or a special at this point, I actually wouldn't really mess around with it because the stat gain to the amount of resources you have to spend is going to be really high. Okay.
Yeah, understood.
So we could look into it a little bit more, like when you screen share and stuff. But that's like kind of the big picture for armaments. You said you were looking to craft a 4th ring or horn. I can't remember in your text.
Horn, yeah.
Horn.
Literally
Okay.
got the materials today.
Okay. Yeah. So, hopefully you crit. Maybe we'll do it on the video or something. This archer set right here, because you have a Milky Way and then this 2-piece bonus. I looked up your kingdom. So the cap power is like about 18 bill, and it has around 200 bill KP, right? So it's considered like a low A as far as KP, and then the actual cap power is considered like a mid-high A. You're gonna get a range of different kingdoms you're gonna fight. It's good enough unless you're fighting like the very high low imp kingdoms, but like, because if you upgrade this to anything else, you're gonna have to at least get it to like a Awaken 2 for it to be better than the flame treads. Same thing with the helm, maybe even further, right? Because this provides defense, whereas really any helm you could go to, whether it's the Dragon's Breath helm or the KVK helm, you're gonna go to attack. And then for the weapon, if you were going to upgrade one thing next on this list, I would actually probably do the Hydra's Blast, right? Because it's just straight up a lot more defense. But like this, even though there's purples, it's actually mostly done. I would actually focus on the accessories, kind of like what you were talking about.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then like for your 5th March, I actually wouldn't work on it until everything else is in a better place. Like get the William at this point, 5552 is like good enough, right? Maybe like some of the I don't know. There's like some events where like Alliance Mobilization or something, maybe where you don't have to spend, you get some HUDs. I don't know. Maybe pick them. Herman's expertise isn't that good, but like, I mean, it's still if you could squeeze like 5-7% out of like his performance, like why not? Because he's still a really good commander. I actually just recorded the video today on my thoughts on the new Archer Commander, so like Shahar Al-Dur. Without seeing her in action, I don't think she's better than Ziao and Herman. I think she's still running 3rd. I think her kit's really interesting. She could end up being better, but like there's too many unknowns with the Mighty Heal and then the true damage, and then even if she is really good, like who the hell do you pair her with? Right? Because these two are kind of almost like made to like fit with each other. They both increase each other's skill damage. Whereas like if you run Shahar Al-Dur, 20% of that skill damage increase is gone, right? So now ZL is pumping out less damage. She's only going to be doing true damage to a single target. Like, yes, it's a lot tankier, and you could heal, and you have like a small buff to you and like 2 allies. But is it better? Like, my initial reaction is no. Right.
Yeah,
So
it felt like potentially some synergy with Boudica, but at that point, it's a single target march, isn't it? It's not.
yeah, because Boudica also doesn't increase skill damage, and she also has a small
Mhm.
heal, which essentially could stack and overlap with uh new commander. But even if I was gonna run this, right, if I was gonna run this as 2 archer marches, I wouldn't run it in this way, just because there's a too big of a drop off with the last march. I would actually do ZL Boudica and then Herman
Okay.
YSG, which is how I actually ran it the last 2 KVKs, and both actually did surprisingly good. You know, like I guess some questions like, why do you run it that way? Like, obviously for 1 archer march, I would run ZL Herman. But if I had these 4 commanders, which is actually the 4 archer commanders I have, if I was gonna split it up, uh, I've tried Boudica ZL before, so Boudica primary, it does way worse. ZL primary with Boudica secondary, you potentially get like a flag on there or something for a little bit more march speed. It does actually way better than I thought it would, just because ZL was meant to be a primary. You know, his rage engine actually works the way it should when he's a primary. You don't waste the rage. It's actually a surprisingly good march that took me maybe 6 months to actually discover and use. Okay. How many gold heads do you have left?
Right now, about 130. So
Yeah.
I did a Herman. I did at the start of this KVK. So I'm now saving up.
Okay. So you have 130. So you have 1 dagger created for archer. Okay. Why did you decide to go horn?
What for the next one?
Yeah, for the next accessory.
I think so. I was in my head. I was going for that 5th march, so I was going for the ring and horn on ZL.
Okay.
ZL Herman.
Well, you could go for the 5th march. It's just like I would say, you can make the 4th march, the equipment on the 4th march, better before you work on the 5th. So it's not like abandon it.
Oh, yeah. I think for me, I think we were discussing in the DMs as well, weren't we? The KVK we've just gone through, and our enemies did extremely well, but they were a little bit squishy at times. So walking out that subpar march, just the AOE coming off of it was still getting sort of 90, 110% trade rates.
Yeah. Okay. But this is kind of awkward because you have a crit dagger for archer, right? So, like, are you familiar with like the idea of like running at least 2 daggers?
No.
Okay, so if you pull up a dagger, right, it has a 30% chance, I think, off the top of my head, 30% chance every basic attack to add a stack of the 5% health debuff, right? And then if you don't do it in 3 turns, if you don't do it in 3 seconds, the stack goes off. So the math is, if you run 2 daggers, you basically every 3 turns or every 3 seconds or 3 turns, you have like an 89% chance to add another stack, right? So basically, the chances you get into 3 stacks and holding it is high enough where it's worth it. Whereas when you're just running 1 dagger, the chances of it dropping off on 3 stacks is way too high, right? Because the dagger is just that's like the actual utility of it is to add health debuff stacks, right? Like, obviously you could get like the iconic and all the base stats and all this stuff when you're awakening it, but it's like fundamental value is to add stacks. So if you have a dagger that's not able to actually get to the max stacks, its value is way less. Whereas like if you're actually adding the stacks all the way up, all of a sudden it's honestly probably the best accessory. Like if you have 2 daggers, the value it's providing is probably actually more than 2 rings if you have enough marches, right? But it, everyone just loves to go the ring and horn. That's just kind of where we defaulted to. But if you run one dagger, it's almost not worth it. Now the reason why I said it's awkward is because and this I've never actually verified it by testing it, but this is what I've been told and from multiple sources is that if you have a crit dagger and a regular dagger, because one's essentially adding what 6.5% debuff and one's doing 5, they don't stack, right? But I don't have a crit dagger and a regular dagger to test this on, so I don't know, right? I just didn't bother to go try to figure it out. But essentially, we're always joking whenever you're crafting a dagger, you almost hope it doesn't crit, because if it doesn't crit, if it does crit, then you almost have to crit your second dagger to be able to fully like utilize the effects of it.
Gotcha.
Right. So since you have a dagger here and it's already crit, and eventually if you do run 5 sets of equipment, essentially you're almost forced to run like I guess like I would actually still go 5 rings. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then like 2 daggers and then not the 4th horn, because a couple of these commanders already have like a pretty, like for example, YSG has a decent rage engine, right? ZL has a really good rage engine, Luce has a really good rage engine, right? So like the best way actually to run the Luce march is actually a greatest glory and a ring, and then you completely skip the horn, because that expertise, they call it a combo attack now. It used to be a basic attack. Every time that actually triggers, so basically 25% of the time, the combo attack is going to trigger on Luce, right? When that triggers, you're getting, I want to say, is it 106 rage? 106 rage when it triggers, right? So basically, if it triggers and then the horn triggers, then you're going to overrage, you're going to waste it. So another way to think about it is on Luce, 1/4 of the time, the horn is actually going to be useless, right? Whereas like if it's on say like Nevsky and Joan, you won't have that problem. So like ZL doesn't need a horn, Luce doesn't need a horn, right? And so funny enough, I don't think you have aspirations going this route. The march that needs a horn the most is actually a siege march.
Right. Okay.
Right. So if I was gonna, let's see, if you're gonna run 5 eventually, and I was gonna build this out accessory wise, you already have a crit. Did you natural crit this, or did you actually like refine it?
Everything critted on this account is naturally crit. Shockingly.
Wow, you naturally crit 2 rings.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. Okay. So like you don't even run into that. You don't even run into the thing where you want to do 5 crafts to get the pity crit, right?
Yeah.
So if I was gonna fill it out, the last 3 slots, I would actually do a greatest glory for the Luce march. I think that's very, very valuable. It's significantly more valuable than a horn. And I would do another dagger, and I'm like, at this point I'd be forced to crit it, right? And then I would probably actually do another ring. And I actually would not craft another horn. Okay. Just because like the ring is just one, it's just better than a horn. But having 3 horns already, it's more likely than not that you're going to have commanders with rage engines where you don't really get to utilize a horn anyways, right? So like if you pull up like ZL's kit, I forgot which skill it is, where it's talking about how when you use certain skills, it's not just the active skill, but even this like his marquee, I think is like 4th skill. When it triggers, you're hitting, I think, 3 targets, right? In a circular or like half circle, whatever. When you hit those 3 targets, each target you hit, you get like 40 rage, right? Yeah. So like ZL, especially when he's expertise, which you have, like whenever he's, so you go into combat, you're going to launch that marquee effect like right away, and then the way it works, like if he is primary. Essentially, you're not stacking that whole rage engine on one turn. It's spread out more. And then if he's secondary, then all the rage is going to be gained on one turn, and then you waste a lot of it. Which is why you want ZL as a primary. That's like a very simplified version of saying that. So like those two marches you don't need a horn, and you have it on there right now. Oh, you have it on the Luchet, right? So I don't know if you have blueprints for anything else. Sorry to like kind of ruin your horn plan.
I've got coins. I've got coins. We can do whatever we want today.
Okay, so you're just not buying a you okay, you haven't bought it yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay,
No.
okay. So dagger you could get like from the egg vent and stuff.
Yeah, in fairness, I've got the mats for a dagger, and I've got the
the problem the not the problem, but a lot of times before people were like, oh well, you know, like the coin you have to buy it in KVK, like you have to buy the KVK items, right? I'm like, you're getting so many freaking coins now in KVK that like that mindset doesn't really apply as much anymore, right? If you can only get 2 coins and then maybe you get one more if you if you win like top 20 in honor or something like that, like maybe you can make that case, but now it's actually just you do it as needed, right? So like
we can't even finish yet, and I'm sitting on 4 coins and 500.
Yeah, like you'll actually, like for you, you know, because of your spend and everything, even if you're super active, you're gonna have more blueprints than mats to craft all of them, you know, especially accessories. So, man. So then the question is, do you go ring first, greatest glory, or you go dagger first? I want to say, if we're going to stay with 4 marches for a bit before you get to your 5th march. I'm very partial to the Luchet march. I would actually just go greatest glory.
Okay.
And then, you know, I just literally just talked about the rage engine thing, but then you're gonna have to like put a horn on ZL.
Yeah, so move the horn off of Scipio onto the L.
Yeah. Just you don't need it on it, and like the damage. So because it's straight up just 5% more all damage, right? Well, not 5% all damage, just because Scipio doesn't get it from his active skill, but for all intents and purposes, it's pretty close. I'm just trying to think this through, because if you do a ring and your dagger is already crit for archer, yeah. So I would actually, if it was me, I would do a greatest glory, put it on the Luchet march. I would move the horn and the dagger onto the archers, just because it's already crit. So like even the iconic and stuff, you get more base stats for it. Like it's not ideal, but it's, you know, it'll serve its purpose, and I would actually run it that way. And then but then you won't be able to. Yeah, okay, so this is the order I would craft the next 3. Okay, I would do the greatest glory, and I'll run the dagger and the horn on the ZL Herman march. After this, I would actually do the Hydra's blast to upgrade that weapon, and then I would actually leave the helm and the flame treads for a while, just because it looks like you're still. Actually, no, you should be good on iconic crystals.
Yeah, I'll be able to.
Okay, so you're good on iconic crystals. If you were gonna complete the Archer legendary set with that setup, it would be KVK Helm and honestly, it would be KVK Helm and like leadership boots probably.
Yeah,
right, because you're not even getting a 2-piece bonus from the Dragon's Breath. So if you do the leadership, I think leadership is 6, right? And then the flame treads actually crit, I think it's 7.5. Am I right? Right. This is all off of memory.
Yeah, 7.5. Yeah.
Okay. And then it's 6 for leadership. But if you get like a iconic crystal on there, it's comparable. I'm actually not sure if it's better, just because Archer health is kind of low. But once you get it to iconic 2, it's definitely better. So, right? So like you get like to even upgrade over the flame treads from the leadership boots, you need at least iconic 2. So it's just something you could work on like later. So yeah, I would do that. And then once you go ahead.
Oh, sorry, but
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then assuming move on to then crafting the ring to push the horn off.
Yeah, you'll want the you'll eventually want the horn on your 5th march, right?
Yeah.
I think if you already got the setup, because it's kind of a shame to have like a crit dagger and then not get to maximize it. But if you do crit another dagger, right? Because if you have another dagger, it'll unless someone could prove me wrong, but every person I ever heard told me this is that a crit dagger and a regular dagger doesn't stack, right? But if you were gonna crit another dagger, I would actually crit it for calves, because the whole idea behind a dagger is you need to actually hit the target for it to do the stacks, right? And then you want the fastest march to have the dagger on it, so it has the highest chance of staying connected with the target to add stacks.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's greatest glory, and then ring, and then dagger would be the order I do those 3 accessories. And then in the meantime, it's like figuring out do you want to mix in the Hydra's Blast? And then once you get to that 5th set, if you are going to go down that path, you're not actually married to it, because you essentially you don't have a legendary there, right? So you can actually dismantle all that and move off of it if you want. That I don't know. It just depends on like what the commander's situation looks like when you're ready to craft it. But if you were going to craft your archer set out, by far the biggest upgrade you can make is to actually upgrade the chest, right? Because whether you do Milky Way or Dragon's Breath, it's health, and it's actually the piece that if you are going to go to legendary for archer, that's the first piece I would go to. And you could do the rest purple. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the Dragon's Breath because I'm not familiar with what it gives, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like 0.5% less health, right? But
Yeah.
it could potentially be like pieced together with like another set. So like for example, I think the best archer setup equipment wise is 222. So you do the KVK weapon and the KVK helm. You do the Dragon's Breath chest and the Dragon's Breath boots, which is actually a little controversial for people because the boots give you defense, whereas the leadership boots give you health, right? But then you do leadership gloves, which gives you defense instead of the Dragon's Breath gloves, which gives you attack. And then you do the leadership legs, right? So Dragon's Breath boots and chest, leadership legs and gloves, and then KVK weapon and helm.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. If you eventually want to go that route, but I think kind of like the mats and mass gain, but from what it sounds like, you're probably doing what like 40 mats every like month and a half ish, if I had to take a guess, maybe a little longer. So it's
maybe a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not something where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna like fly through. This is like a short, medium, long term plan. But I do think I do agree with you. Actually, the biggest upgrade right now is actually to get the next accessory. Okay. Any questions with equipment before we move on?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that's covered it nicely.
Okay. Did you want to go over the armaments still?
Yeah, can do. I mean, but based on what you said, I think
okay, cool.
Really good summary on waiting. But
yeah, let's have you screen share, and then I'll move it onto the screen.
Let me know when you can see that.
So let me pull it up. Oops. Okay. So that's on the screen now. Okay, so let's see. What did you want to go over?
I think it's just, and you sort of hit the nail on the head with the special inscription. So, I mean, I've got my special inscription wires and rare inscriptions.
Right.
The only thing I noticed earlier that I've got that I'm not using at the minute is Forceful,
Okay.
which
Forceful is actually pretty damn good.
yeah, that's why based
Yeah.
on what you said as well around the Greatest Glory, so potentially re-rolling on that for the Scipio March.
Okay, let's actually go to your commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Actually, pull up the Scipio March again. Okay, yeah. Let's take a look at the what's on Scipio. Okay.
So well clad there, then Vengeful.
Okay, so you actually have Wedge here.
Yes, yeah, I am using Wedge at the minute.
Okay.
I mean, he's so because my Scipio was previously, I can't remember who it had behind it. Scipio Alex I was using before, so I was running Wedge because that felt like the better call there. Do you think it should move on to Arch now?
Yeah, let me open another screen. So you have 2 hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Switch the Scipio over to Arch real quick. Let me just see what you're even like working with here. The Scipio.
Oh, Scipio, sorry about that.
I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but I just switch over to Arch. Okay. Oh, okay. You have a decent amount.
Oh, I'm not going to do that actually. Let's not do that. Let's just do inscriptions.
Okay. So without even looking at them, at this point, unless you're like a new player, I actually would just get rid of all the epics. It's like very, very, very unlikely you're gonna use an epic unless you're brand new starting out. But it even looks like you have a few legendaries with inscription on it, so it's probably already gonna be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Go to the other slots real quick. Let me see.
I started putting Arch on LC.
Yeah. Okay. What's is devious? Is this one normal damage? Let me see. Oh, it is skill damage. Okay, but it's a double. It's fine. Let me see what the other ones are. Okay, that's a real wait. That patronage is on a 2% all damage. That's pretty disgusting too. Yeah. So like like patron, it's okay, right? But like 2% extra damage for 3 seconds versus say something like assertive, where it's just straight up you just deal 2% more damage at all times. Okay. No, I would still actually, if you're running Scipio LC, I would still take the double over that. Let's check out the other slots. All right, so you have a deflector on there right now. Okay, so this is one where I would actually roll the forceful.
Okay, yep.
Okay, and then go to the last slot. What's striker again? Let me see. Okay, that's actually really good. Okay, so you're okay, perfect. Okay, so okay, so I made this. I don't know. I don't know how many of the videos I make you see. I think the formation that people should be pulling now is actually Arch and not Wedge. Just because everyone's doing white damage, it's more universal, right? Like Wedge does nothing for this new Archer commander. With like the Delta formation and then like this talk speculation that maybe the next cav will do combo attacks. Like who knows if the next cav will even benefit from skill damage. Whereas like you're always going to benefit from white damage, right? So Arch actually has become kind of like the new universal formation type. I want to say your other Wedge are at a good enough spot. Let me pull it up again. Yeah, your other Wedge are at a good enough spot where I don't think you actually need to pull for that anymore. I would actually just pull for all Arch. Okay. And then obviously, ideally, you focus on like using it to make the best infantry set possible. But if you could actually like pull a cav set and an archer set from the Arch, just for like future use, maybe you can even maybe you can even use it for the second Archer March if you decide to go that route. For example, with You know, who knows? Maybe like Shahara Aldora get in the game and she's like ridiculous, right? Well, it's not gonna be Wedge. It's gonna be like Arch, or some healing formation, which I don't think you should pull for, right? Like if I had to suggest like for the new Archer Commander, the open fielding one, you would pull Arch. Right? Like maybe you want to actually pull a healing one, but pulling for healing just to capitalize on the mighty heal for one March seems a little bit of a waste. Whereas if you do Arch, I feel like it's a little bit more versatile for the future.
Yeah, which is what Wedge was, wasn't it? Because Wedge was across
Yeah, right.
everything. Like,
Yeah, smite damage wasn't even out yet at the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's Arch now, and then you're at a place now where you have the inscription. So I think you should pull Arch. Yeah. So go back to your. Oh, I see. I'm on the wrong screen. Okay. So go back to the armaments again for the Scipio. Okay, and the Arch there. Okay, let me see what the ones in the inscriptions. Just all of the legendaries and inscriptions. Okay, so you don't want that one. What's Valiant? Is that like 1%? Yeah. Okay. Go to the next one. No, we don't want that. I would actually just dismantle that. I mean, recycle that.
Okay.
Okay. Keep going. Oh, you just have.
Yeah, so
duplicates. Okay, Breaker's really good. Okay, that's probably the one. Keep going.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, no. No. Then what's the bottom one? Okay, perfect. So I would actually do the Breaker. That's by far the best one. Breaker, Assertive, and then probably like Hardy, Robust, like the health ones are the 3 best regular ones. I would roll the double for this one. Click the middle one again.
The middle one.
Yeah, in battle. No, not in battle. Sorry. What's the one? The one with the patronage. Patronage is like, it's like okay, right? Like, you are gonna get a shield quite often with Scipio, but it's like conditional, and there's like a 5-second cooldown. I would take the double, even though I do really like that 2% all damage there. Like, so that's a good place to start, but yeah, but like if you're running Scipio with it, I think that would still be better. And then this one, just roll the forceful one. That's pretty clear cut. And then Striker, yeah, you're forced to do that. Yeah. So for example, right, you do this right now, it looks like rainbow stats, right? But if you think, okay, but you're getting 5% more normal damage, which benefits the Luce as opposed to the Wedge. If it's not like close, if it's not close to like what you're doing with the Wedge, just because there's a fairly big stat difference, it's not as far off as it looks, right? And the way to do it, so for example, if you go to Forceful, I'm not going to have you do it now, unless you want to.
Roll them. I don't mind rolling them now. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's roll the Forceful. We can definitely do that.
So this one, yeah, don't lock anything and just roll. Like 1.5 is really low. Okay, no, and then you do have 3 Transmutation Crystals. Going. Okay, yeah, perfect. So replace. So 2.6 I would actually lock. And then essentially, let's see, this slot, I think you have a 13% chance for each slot, right? So the top slot you have a 13% chance, the middle slot you have a 13% chance. It comes out to I don't know, like somewhere between like, I want to say like a little below 30% every time you roll. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, yeah, let's keep going.
We'll see.
All right, perfect. Yeah, replace. Okay, so for this, right, I would actually leave it here. Obviously, it could get better, but the material cost becomes a lot higher, right, to get it better. Yeah. Whereas, like, okay, you can stop here and let's go find another one that's like pretty weak. Let's go to the one, the flag, or okay, yeah, breaker, yeah. So you know, any stat here is great. So let's do this. Okay, replace, but don't replace it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Okay, then but don't lock, and then just do it again. Keep going. I don't think it matters that much. The defense is slightly better, but I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Yeah,
just keep going. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
that's
So
fine.
that's one replace. Yeah. So right. So now, you're gonna lock the defense.
Yeah.
And then do it again. Hopefully we could. Oh, perfect. I got replaced.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's actually go back to the main screen. The main screen we could see the total stats. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is okay. I can tell you right now, this is better than what you had on the wedge.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So let's go to the striker. I mean the banner one. Okay, so this is the double, but it's also this is the one I hate the most because essentially you're gonna not lock anything. Okay, so like the reason why I hate it is because if you want to set it up right, you're actually could potentially replace to get worse. But like the one stat is good enough where now you're setting yourself up to go higher, right? So this one it's like it's one of those where you either just kind of leave it alone until you get something better, right? So like how for example, how close are you to getting like 8 shards?
Miles away, I think. Hold on, let me check.
Okay, yeah, 3. Okay, so you're not close. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so
I'm
we're
also,
gonna
I'm
do.
also not.
Okay, we'll set this up. We'll set this up. Okay, so go to the banner. Don't lock any and just roll. So what we're looking for is just like a higher M stat. And then if you don't get it, right, you still have a double at least. So let's see if we could hopefully pull. So yeah, don't replace. Okay, that's really good. So replace. Okay, that's actually a huge W. Okay, so then lock the all damage. And hopefully we can pull one more M stat. Okay, you have 4 more chances before you're out of stones. Keep going. All right, perfect. And then replace. So that M stat isn't good, right? So you're not gonna keep that, but now if you're rolling, you at least have that as a baseline. So that was really good because that the double low stats is my least favorite to try to like fix.
Okay. Yeah.
And then so everything else right now you at least have 2 stats, 2 relevant stats, right? And then it's just kind of like figuring out which one. So like for example, this one I would only lock the all damage still. Go to the horn.
Yeah.
This one I would honestly I would lock both. It's close enough where you could just like maybe just fix it and not have to deal with it. Let's go to the shield now. Yeah, this one I would only lock the health. And then the top left, the scroll. This one I will lock both too. So the ones where I said I would only lock one, you want to get those where you will lock 2, and then you eventually work on the last one, right? Because it's the least amount of resources to get the biggest gain. All right. How many stones? I don't know if you want to finish it out or not. It's up to you. So you have 2 more shots. Hopefully you get something better. Not. Okay.
No.
Oh, perfect. Oh, there you go. Hey, maybe I need some of this luck. You're actually getting really lucky on stream. Okay. So I don't think. Okay, so let's go to the other one because you don't have enough stones. So no, the top left. No, there. Yeah, there you go. So lock the health. 1 shot. Let's see.
So if this luck continues.
It's alright. No, you're very lucky on stream. Okay. That's good. Okay, so definitely just use arch for now. I'm glad we can fix that. What's the total stats at? Let's see. Okay. So you have 4 stats you need to essentially get rid of. You have 4. Okay, one in each slot. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that was good. But you kind of get the idea, right? Like kind of how to go about this. I would clean up your armaments. So get rid of all the epic. And let me see if I can actually pull this up. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna block the screen. Pull up the game. I'm gonna share my screen. So let me exit yours. share my screen. Where's the kingdoms? What the heck? Why is the game not?
Or performance issues. You know.
I think this is it. Is this on the game screen?
Yep.
Okay,
got it. Yep.
Okay. So if you look at like my armaments, so this is my arch. So I either have like I have my infantry, right? And then I have a cap where I could put a description on this, even though, you know, I don't plan on going in. I have a 2% all damage. If I do put a like destructive or something, I could roll this. Honestly, I'm probably going to, if I get a destructive, is it called destructive or a destructive? I would actually probably put it on this one and then just roll the infantry stats. And this will actually go on my second infantry set. Right, this one I kept because it already has 2 high stats, but if it comes to it, I would actually put the destructive either on this one or this one. They're really close, and then if I pick one, I would actually probably just dismantle the other one. I mean, recycle the other one, even though it's really good. Right, just because you have to think about well, what are the chances you'll actually use it in the future. Right, and this is where like the hoarding mentality comes in. Well, there's a chance I'm going to use it, but you're probably not, right? I already have 2. I already have this, and then I have this triple stat. Like I'm not going to use a third one, so the stats could look really good, but like, am I going to do it? Probably not, right? The Phalanx Swan, I had planned on using this for Constantine, just for Canyon, and then the Breaker is just really good. I might use it for Archer later, right? Like I like this, but you know, if I did this, I would just lock the Archer defense. Right, the Horn, you can see I only have 5. Same idea, I have 3 triples. These aren't that good. I probably should actually get rid of 1. Right, this is a triple, like a super high triple stat one, but maybe in the future where they allow you to actually get a special inscription, you could put it on a Horn, and I could use it. And obviously, here's a Cav. This one, but basically, like, you get the idea, right? Like, I've been pulling Arch for a while, but I don't have a lot of armament save. I definitely don't have any wedge save. If I go to wedge, right, it's the same idea, right? Every one of these slots, like 8 of them or 9 of them are taken, and the one that's not is a triple stat or clad, where I will probably inscribe over this and then put a hunter on it, and then maybe roll the last stat, right? If I get there. Right, the one that is a epic, it's just because it's actually a really good epic for infantry, and I'm just using it on a bar march, right? Because rather than put it on this, I put it on here. But like, you know, the video I made about it, I'm like, get obsessed with like cleaning up your armaments. Sometimes you have to make a tough decision. I've had to recycle some like good. So for example, right, if I have a triple stat Archer one, that's like 3, 3, and then like 2.5, right? Most people would kill, well, they'll be really happy to have that. But if I already have one that's like this, and then I have a Boiling Blood with triple stats, I have a Fit with triple stats, and I have another like high triple stat that doesn't have an inscription, I'm not going to use a 4th one. So it could be a really good triple stat, but I'm okay with just unlocking it and then recycling it. Right, and like when you do that,
I've watched that video like 3 or 4 times, and every time I just get the fear. I'm like, I can't do this.
Right. Well, trust me, I haven't regretted it yet. Right, but like this one, super high upside, I could put a balance on it and just roll for 1. Right, so that's like the idea. But like I essentially at this point it's 1 in and 1 out, unless it's something really crazy where like I can't make the decision because like they're going in 2 very different paths that I could be prepared for. But if it's like this, and I get another one that's like 3.3 and like 3 for 2 cav stats, I'm just gonna keep 1. I'm not gonna keep both. You know, like what am I gonna do? Well, this one's already there. I could try to fix this one, right? Or this one. Assertive is really good, right? But like, can I get these stats higher? But like the amount of resources I have to use to get these stats higher is just not worth it. So like at this point, I think I actually did use some recently. I have like 92 stones, like 1 transmutation crystal saved up. Me personally, I'm waiting to, you know, I've been very unlucky in armaments with the amount I spend. I have 1 special, which is here. I have no alt art from Hunter, my whitelist is at 9 for wedge. I just haven't pulled it, right? So this next one, I'm what, 143 away. Hopefully, you know, I just do it from a travel or something, and then I have a transmutation crystal saved up, so I have 20 shots to get it to what I want it to be, right? So, you know, there is a huge luck component for this, but I feel like if I had to give people one piece of advice, it's just don't have any excess things that you're not going to use. So I have like a V formation. I have a breaker, triple stat. I have this double stat. I have this, and then I have 2. This one I actually used up. I don't think I'm gonna use the transmutation crystal. So you can see right now, right? The reason why I decided to keep this was because they're both 3.5 health inscription, but this one, the health and the siege march speed were better than this one. So if I lock these 2 and I hit, then it would be like a moderate upgrade, so I decided to keep it. But this one is not worth me using a transmutation crystal on when I already have a hardy, right? So I'll actually unlock this and just recycle it right now, right? Just so put money where my mouth is, because I just won't, you know, I'm not going to do a second siege, right? So essentially, I don't want, you know, if you're like stocking a store or something, you don't want inventory just sitting there being wasted. If you recycle it, it'll go towards a shard. It could go towards transmutation stones, so you can be very, very efficient with that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. So that's armaments. You have any questions with armaments?
No, I mean that was massively helpful, really
Okay.
helpful. And I promise I'll send you a DM of a very
Yeah,
clean.
perfect. Yeah.
Clean
Yeah,
ornament.
yeah. Yeah, it's cool because like a lot of people after the sessions, you know, whether it's just telling them to go to PC or certain things, they follow up. You know, that you have any follow up questions, or they just give me like progress updates, which I always like to see. But for your account, I would say like the equipment. Here, let me actually pull this up. Was I not showing this earlier? Would have been awkward. Okay. Yeah, but like your equipment, like short term. Actually, do you wanna craft something or no? You don't have to.
Yes.
Okay.
So are we saying we're in agreement? The greatest glory. Then I'm loving that the Scipio mark is coming out on top. So the greatest glory is the call.
Yeah, I would do greatest glory, and then you'll actually just notice like another boost to it. Yeah.
Let me go and I'll buy that makersure after this.
Okay, cool. Just let me know when you're ready to share your screen. And then for commanders, I would just save my gold heads. I would not invest in your archer commander for you. You're not gonna break up ZL Herman, right? Well, actually, wait, let me take it back. There's a chance you could break it up because it could be some pairing that I just like, you know, like until we put it to the test, right? And then you know, it would be an easy transition to your fifth march like the archer set. But for now, let other people take that risk, and you're under the assumption that you could be okay skipping her. You'll run CL Herman. I think it'll be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like offset, so I typically only invest when I get to like 390 sculptures anyway, and I'm offset by about
perfect.
New releases.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
Do this. If I crit on this as well, then clearly my luck.
If you crit, you'll be like, because that was pretty freaking lucky going over the arch formation. You know.
Does it come through?
It's not even so much that like, oh, you hit the infantry stats, even though a lot of people just don't hit it. Like you've seen just like disasters, right? But you actually hit like a number of high enough stats or to really high stats that it's like worth locking. You know, like 1.6 all damage, like the 3+ defense, like even like the 2.6 like health, stuff like that. That's pretty lucky.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. Okay, so am I watching your stream now? Okay, so pull this up again. Okay, cool. So Greatest Glory. I personally don't have crafting or not good at Armaments. But all right, let's go. 11%.
See where we go.
Let's go. Oh my god. Oh, that's all right. Okay. So yeah, so move this to the replace the horn.
Swap with iconic that straight away as well.
Oh my god, you got 7 iconic crystals.
Yeah. I've not.
unlike
It was
yeah,
exactly what you said though. The materials are the
yeah,
biggest sort of.
I need to. The only reason why I'm staying to the end of our KVK and not just getting a head start in the new kingdom is I need three. I need the three iconic crystals.
Mhm.
Okay, so that looks decent. Yeah, and then the next one I would actually do ring, and then probably do the dagger last, and then that will be your 5.
Yeah.
For now.
You think the next craft though is probably Hydra's blast in the weapon slot?
If you're not gonna go to the so go to the Boudica real quick. Okay. So if for some reason you actually decide to go to the 5th March, the next craft would actually be the Dragon's Breath chest, and then
Okay.
the Revival gauntlets, right? And then for probably most of the competition you're potentially fighting, that would be good enough. Yeah, if you're not gonna actually go to the 5th March, and I actually would not go to the 5th March now unless for some reason Shahar, whatever her name is, Shahar Eldor, is comes out and it's like wow, like it's disgusting. Like this March paired behind ZL is like the new Archer version of Lucha Alex or some shit that we just didn't foresee coming, right? And then essentially now you have a Herman that doesn't have a home. Then maybe you'll go that route, or else I would stick with the 4. Now, so let's go back to the ZL. So yeah, so for here, right? Because you already have 4 sets of legendary accessories, so the next one would be the KVK helm. I mean KVK weapon, and then I actually would stop there. Now, if you were going to craft the 5th, I would do the Revival gauntlets, I would do the Dragon's Breath chest. You know, you're losing 0.5% in health, but you have a lot more versatility in the future for what you're gonna do. And then like the Milky Way, you could just put the Milky Way on this one and awaken. And then I would do those 2, right? Revival gauntlets. Let's actually go to your Boudica just so I'm talking to it. I would go Revival gauntlets, Dragon's Breath chest, and then from there, actually, the next 2 craft I would do would be a ring, and then a second dagger.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're gonna move the horn from one of your cab marches over, and the dagger.
Yeah.
Once you craft it, literally you just have to go for the crit. Like we're fine. Hopefully you get lucky. You know, you just crit it, and then all of a sudden, like the boost you'll get, like essentially both accessories, both daggers, will get a massive boost once you crit it, right? And then that will be your 5 before you go further.
Well, maybe when I get to that point, I'll reach out and we'll do some tests to see whether or not.
Yeah, just reach out.
Prove out whether or not they stack on the. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't have anything else as far as like I think what you sent me, unless you have any other like questions or anything I didn't cover.
No, I don't think so. No, I mean that's been massively helpful. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Oh yeah, so definitely stay in touch. You know, let me know the progress. You know, I think for me personally, I always feel like partial to people I spent time with, and I want them to do well. So like well, feedback, progress update is always like welcome, or any questions.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop recording here.
Stuff.